When is the last time that you asked yourself, what do I actually want? I would imagine that on a day to day, you are in a routine. You have boxes to check, you have expectations to fill. I would imagine a whole bunch of people need things from you. If you don't take action, you're not going to be able to grow your business. I mean, there's just stuff, right? Every single day, there is stuff. And unless you get off that hamster wheel of doing, the cycle of perpetually making shit happen, you will likely continue to ruminate in a cycle of things that you don't really love. What ends up happening are months or sometimes years go by, and you sit and find yourself asking, I don't even know what I really want. I have no idea what makes me happy anymore, and I don't know what to do next. Good news is it's shiftable, and that's what we're talking about on today's Powerback episode. Before we go down that rabbit hole of awesomeness, though, I want to reiterate something that I shared with you on Tuesday's episode about alignment sessions. I made a pretty hefty promise to you, and I want to back that up again today. Alignment sessions are intended for you to go very deep, very quickly, to get the questions answered in the moment, to get to the root of a challenge, to get an insanely clear fucking plan, and to have the energetic shift and like the aha, holy shit, there it is moment that you've been looking for. And so last episode, I promised that if you don't have a transformational aha moment during our session, I'll give you your money back. An alignment session is for you if you want to go deep very quickly, if you don't want to fart around, you want to get the clarity so that you know what to do next. You really are ready to take action or to like break whatever it is that's been going on that's been holding you back. The only thing that I ask of you is that you come open to receive, that you come open to new things, that you are receptive and ready for change and are willing to do the work to back it up, because that whole recipe is what's going to cause the shift for you. So if you know that you are ready to move forward in your business, but need the clarity to back it up so you know what to do next, go to LauraAura.com and you can book your alignment session directly on the website. All right, my friends, but for today's discussion, we're talking about how to know what it is that you actually want in the first place. Like I mentioned earlier, we tend to end up on this perpetual hamster wheel of doing things and getting things done. Habits are created, routines are created, expectations are created. And before you know it, you end up, you're just like this machine, right? Like you wake up, you do the thing, you're hustling through the day, you get to the end of the day and you're like, I don't even know what I did, but I'm exhausted. And then tomorrow you wake up and you're like, if I can just get through this day, it'll be okay. And I want to ask, is that really truly how you're intended to live? Do you believe that that's how your soul wants to be on this planet? I understand that maybe not every day is like this, but if you're listening to this and this is ringing true more often than not, then this is probably going to be a wake-up call for you to get back in touch with who you are and what you actually want in the first place. Because autopilot is not going to drive you to the destination that you're looking for. Continuously being stressed is not going to give you the joy and the happiness that you're craving. Forcing yourself, hustling, it's not going to give you that ease in the white space that you're craving so much in your life. And so how do you start to recognize what you actually want? If you've been on this hamster wheel for so long, it's very easy to be like, I don't even know who I am anymore. I have no idea what I want. And I want you to know that you're not alone. This is not a moment for you to, smack the back of your hand and be like, wow, I told you. If you want to, no, we're not doing that. You know that we don't do that around here. This is simply about coming back into your body, back into your mind, back into your soul, and tapping back into what is actually true and real for you. So to reconnect with what you actually want, we have to do something differently. So today, I'm gonna spice this up a little bit today. I've got a worksheet for you. Oh, yeah, I got a fucking worksheet for you. So in the show notes of today's episode is a link that's going to take you to a PDF, pretty universal file. You can download. I 1000% recommend download it to your desktop, and you can fill it out there. Or if you even want brownie points, print it out. I'm a sucker for pen and paper. It really allows your mind and your body to be very fluid with what you're doing. But if typing works best for you, then by golly, fucking do that too. This is a very, very simple worksheet. We're going to go over it here in this Powerback episode today to help you rediscover what you want. Because that's the problem, right? You're in the hamster wheel. You want to get off the hamster wheel, but you don't even know what you want to be able to get off the hamster wheel. So we're going to cut that shit today and get off of it. So the very first thing in this process, and you hear me say this a lot because it is insanely important, is to build radical, I mean, radical self-awareness. I'm talking about being in tune with your thoughts, being in tune with your feelings, being in tune with your body, being in tune with your language, how you're carrying yourself, how you're showing up in things. Like, when is the last time you tapped into your fucking body? Like, you have been taught to go outside of yourself for answers, for permission, for validation, for ways of doing things, for how life is supposed to be done, the way you should build this life and business. And so what I'm asking you to do is to bring yourself back into yourself, because all of those answers that you may potentially be going outside of yourself for are all already inside of you. And that voice, that intuition, that feeling, that innate knowing that you have has simply just been silenced. I'm going to guess it's probably not your fault either. There's no fault here. It's conditioning. It's the world. It's expectations. It's your upbringing. It's the people in your circle. I mean, it's every possible thing. But where it starts to shift is, even though all this is coming around you, right? It's like a cyclone. It is your responsibility to know when something needs to be shifted. It is your responsibility to take action from a centered space if you want to change something. It is your responsibility to be gutsy, especially when everyone and everything is telling you to go left and your soul's like, but we need to go right today. That's where your change gets to start. Look, most people skip self-awareness because it's uncomfortable. It is uncomfortable to sit with your thoughts. It is uncomfortable to sit with your feelings. And it is super uncomfortable to get to know your own version of bullshit. I'll tell you one of my bullshit moments. This is pretty reoccurring, and I'm still undoing this, but I am notorious for like thinking that I have more time than what I actually do. So for instance, in the morning, or if we need to go somewhere, I will like fart around for so much time thinking like, oh yeah, I've got this much time to get ready and all this. And then I always end up rushing. And that stresses me out. It makes me anxious. It adds to my already natural anxiety. Then I don't feel put together right. Then I don't feel aligned with myself. Then I'm like already starting whatever it is that I'm doing with this kind of frantic energy. I can tell you exactly where that came from. That came from my upbringing. That came from my mother. And I'm still undoing that here at the age of 38. So building radical self-awareness for me is recognizing, I'm farting around this morning. I know that we need to leave, and I am basically procrastinating getting ready so that I can set myself up for success. Recognizing my bullshit, that I am perpetuating an old habit that I was given by somebody else that drains my energy and takes me out of my center. That's my responsibility to shift. It's uncomfortable to recognize that I am the cause of my anxiety in those moments. But if I don't build self-awareness around it and take a different action because of it, I am just continuing to be in the hamster wheel of fucking myself over. And here's the deal. Whatever that is for you, chances are you're already uncomfortable, right? If it's not the way that you want it to be, if it's causing a pain or an emotion, if it's disrupting your day in some form or fashion, there's already a level of discomfort. So what if today you chose the new discomfort that is temporary, the one that gets you off of the hamster wheel, the one that allows you to make a change? Like, you likely don't want to do that because it's uncomfortable getting uncomfortable, right? Like, I think we can all agree with that. But the thing is, if you're already living in this perpetual uncomfortableness, that is permanent until you do something about it. Change likely has a temporary discomfort, meaning I'm trying something new. I'm forcing myself to change a habit. I am changing a belief system. I am changing the way that I'm doing something. I've never done it before. I feel uncomfortable. There's nobody in my world that's doing this. That's uncomfortable, but it's temporary because you're building a new pathway in your brain. You are building a new, healthier habit. You are gaining knowledge and so much information on how to make a change for the better. And so I emphasize that it's a temporary discomfort because the discomfort goes away. Whatever hamster wheel you were on goes away. And I also want to reiterate, this is not about perfection. Don't even start to go there with me. It's about building strength. It's about building knowledge. It's about building new habits, healthier ways to move about in this world so that if and when something similar pops up, you can recognize it faster. You have more tools in your tool belt. You can make a change or a shift much sooner in the process rather than like absorbing it and make it your life again. So on your worksheet, there is a space for you to write, what am I doing and how does it make me feel? And here's how I would recommend that you utilize this worksheet. Let it hang out with you for a whole day, one whole work day. And every hour on the hour, write down, what are you doing and how does it make me feel? Another option is every time you go to do a task, every time you go to perform something or take action in your business today, fill out, what am I doing and how does it make me feel? This is going to help you start to build radical awareness. This is the part that gets skipped over. And if there is no awareness, you cannot make a change until sometimes some shit hits the fan and then you're forced to, and then that puts you in a whole different position. So the next part of this exercise is to ask yourself, what do I actually want? Most of the time, it's like, I have no idea what I want. Or maybe it feels too big and you get overwhelmed by the details and the who's and the what's and the when's and the why's. Maybe you're just too distracted and there's too much shit going on, so you haven't thought about it in a long time. But here's the thing, if you don't make space and time to figure it out, you won't. You'll continue to work your way through the day and sit and go, I have no idea what I did today, but I know that I don't feel fulfilled. So some of the questions that I get is like, okay, well, how do I figure out what I want when I have no idea what I want, Laura? Well, first, we've already started to build some radical self-awareness, right? You are starting to notice some of the things that you are doing that bring you joy. You're starting to notice some of the things that you're doing that are draining your energy. You are starting to notice yourself. Like that in itself is huge. So the first thing that I'll ask you is, what is something that you've done before that has brought you a lot of joy? This could be an activity. This could be a service that you've done. This could be somewhere that you used to go. This could be a craft that you did. This could be a hobby that you had. What have you done in the past that has made you feel really, really good? Right now, we're just like experimenting. We're being curious. We're just like, I wonder. That's the energy going into this. We're not saying, oh, I used to do this and I stopped doing it. And now I'm going to beat myself up. No, fuck that. I want you to tap back into your fucking soul. What brings you joy? What are things that light you up? What are things that add value to your life? What are things that make you feel alive again? This could be something you did last week. This could be something you did last year. This could be something you did when you were 4. The goal here is to stay open and curious about what brings you joy. The next question is, what is interesting to you right now? What do you find yourself reading some blogs on or just kind of naturally leaning into? Is there a topic that you're like, well, this is really kind of interesting? Is it an area of your business or a service structure or a way of doing things or a way to shift the way that you're writing or speaking? Like, what is interesting to you right now? Curiosity is one of your greatest tools because it's like little tiny breadcrumbs of your soul's way of saying, like, hey, there's something maybe in this, and it may not look exactly the way that you're seeing it, but there's something in this that is going to spark something within me. So start to pay attention to the things that are interesting to you. What might that be saying to you? What information are you gathering from it? What is it about that that is lighting you up and bringing you happiness? And lastly, what feels exciting to think about? I'm even smiling just thinking about this. Like if boundaries were not there, if finances weren't an issue, if other people's opinions weren't an issue, if time constraints weren't an issue, What feels exciting to you? Where do you feel your mind and your body and your soul wandering off to? These are usually those big, audacious goals that you talk yourself out of. Right now, we're just playing with it. We're just seeing what brings you joy. So, what is that for you? Is it a way that you're restructuring your business? Is it moving to a new place? Is it offering a retreat at a magical space? Is it speaking on stages? Is it opening a center? Is it doing something in your community? Is it supporting somebody in a specific way? Like, what feels really, really just kind of awesome to you right now? Can you start to feel how you're feeling again? How you're tapping back in, how you're remembering who you are, how you're allowing yourself to dream again? You're starting to break a pattern. You're starting to break a system. You're starting to break a routine. And breaking isn't necessarily a bad thing. Breaking means that we're creating new ways that give you an opportunity to start to explore the things that bring you happiness again. So, last but not least, with this newfound reconnection with yourself, is to give yourself permission to take messy action. I say messy action because we're not going after perfection. We're not going after needing to be a master at something. This is about allowing yourself to take one next step. And oftentimes, those are little things, like maybe it's reading a book, maybe it's taking a class, maybe it's going on someone else's retreat. Maybe it's shifting up your routine and trying some new things. Maybe it's going to an event locally in your area that you haven't been to before. Maybe you're shifting your style. You start writing a little bit differently. Maybe you start to do some of the things that used to bring you joy to see if that is still a thing for you, or if maybe that was part of that season and it's done. Maybe it's having dance parties with yourself, naked under the moonlight in your backyard. Maybe it's sitting in the sunshine, drinking some coffee. Maybe it's taking a little bit of time for yourself after the kiddos get off to school and before you open up the email. The goal here is to give yourself permission to try one new thing, to experiment, to play with it, to see if, hey, maybe this is a new way. And taking the judgment out of it. This is not about perfection. This is not about mastering it right now. This is about getting back to what brings you joy and happiness. This is about rediscovering what you actually want. Look, the mind and the body immediately wants to just sit down, head down, figure it out, write it all out, get a plan, know all the answers, have it all mapped out in the right way, know the timeline, know who's involved, and then now we can take action. Now we can be happy. Now we can know what we want. And honestly, that cannot be further than the truth. Is there time for planning? Yes. Is there time for creating structures? Absolutely. But that's not where you're going to find your joy. That's not where you're going to find and discover what you actually want. That's in building radical self awareness, asking yourself what you actually want, and then giving yourself a fucking chance to try it out. The answers that you're looking for are in momentum, not sitting and forcing yourself to figure it out. So get up, move your body, change your scenery, give yourself a chance to try something new. And if it freaking falls apart, fine. It wasn't that serious in the first place, right? Because we were just playing with it. If you're at a family barbecue and there's like a badass game of kickball going on, are you going to have like an epic meltdown if everyone's not perfect at playing kickball? Now, unless you have a super competitive family, that's a whole different discussion. But no, everyone's out there. They're playing, they're being in the moment, they're laughing together. And you can do that for yourself too. I encourage you to download that worksheet. Do the whole 1 day thing. And I would love to hear how that resonates for you, what comes up for you. You can DM me on Instagram. I personally respond to all my messages. So tell me what kind of came up for you. Tell me what aha moments you had. And most importantly, tell me what's coming up for what you want next. Next Tuesday's episode, number 159, is about going from how to who with Steph Tuss. Look, you are trying to figure out how to grow your business, but you need help to grow the business, but you don't have the funds or the availability to ask for help. It's a whole vicious cycle. So next week's episode, we're going to tackle that and help you get very clear on how to move forward so that you can grow your business. Until then, I would love to connect with you on social media. I play the most on TikTok and Instagram. You can find me using @thatLauraAura. And as always, until I see you next time, stay gutsy.